Hi, this is Mrs. V from Crafty Veg. Today I'll show you how to make this amazing cherry tomato pickle. Very, very simple as well. So follow me for the recipe. So what I have is cherry tomatoes over here. I picked these yesterday, so I apologize I don't have footage for this because it was just about to rain for the next several days and I just really wanted to pick them so that they're nice and dry. My grandmother always said that you shouldn't pick or pickle vegetables when they are wet because they absorb too much moisture and then they spoil quicker, so they won't last as long apparently. So I really was rushing to pick all of my tomatoes. Also, I noticed some first signs of blight on the leaves, and so I was really worried because after the rain, blight loves moisture and heat, so they would be gone. I would lose everything. So I really wanted to pick everything. So first thing that you need to do with for this recipe is pick your tomatoes, and I tend to first of all separate the ones that have they're starting to blush. I take those out because I'm hoping that I can still ripen these on the side. Here is a bowl of this variety. Ripening, some of them are almost ready to go, so I really like them in salad, so I don't want to pickle everything, I just really want to enjoy them fresh. So anything that has got a hint of color, they will be fine, they should be fine on the side. And then the rest of them, what I've done is I washed these in the lukewarm water yesterday, pat dry them, and I left them on the side. So I didn't have time to preserve all of them yesterday. So as long as they're washed and dry, they're fine for the next day. So now what I'm doing is I am chopping them in half. And here is a bowl of chopped in half tomatoes. And I mean, you can pickle them whole, but you will need to somehow pierce the skin. So you can use the skewer to pierce the skin. You can pierce it all the way through, but you do need to do it from this sort of beginning to the end so that there's two holes. Otherwise the brine will not really penetrate the tomato at all. So, and it will take much, much longer. Now, I also like them and cut in half because they're easier to eat out of the jar or what have you, rather than the whole ones. So once you've chopped your tomatoes, what you need to do is fill the jars. So I have these jars, I use these are 350 milliliters jars. I find that this is a good size for pickling because you don't want the jars to be too small because then you have to use a lot of them. And if the jars are too big, then you might waste some because you wouldn't eat it all at once. So I think this is a good sort of size jar for pickling of cherry tomatoes. So what I do is I fill them with the tomatoes. I pack them quite tight because I don't actually have that many jars and I have a huge number of tomatoes. So and I also add a piece of chili. So this is jalapeno, red jalapeno, but you can add any chilies that you want. So however hot you want it, add some chili in here. And I also added a couple of cloves. So this is like a medium size. I tend to cut the cloves in four, the larger ones, and then I add a couple of pieces in here as well. It's there somewhere. Well, if not, yeah, that's right at the top there. So now that's ready to be added. So that's ready for the brine now. So the next thing that you need to do is your brine. So, and brine is very, very simple. Basic brine is literally vinegar and water. I tend to do 1 to 1. So if it's 250 milliliters of brine, it's 250 milliliters of water. And then I also add a little bit of salt. So it depends on how salty you want it. So you can add either a teaspoon or up to even a tablespoon of salt. But taste your brine to see what you know, how salty you want it. If you want it more salty, obviously you can add some more salt. And then you boil the brine on the stove. Now, in terms of vinegar, I tend to use apple cider vinegar because I like that hint of sweetness. You can use white vinegar as well, but it's more sharp. So I find it a little too sharp. So I like the apple cider vinegar for pickles like this one. White wine vinegar I tend to use for chutneys and for other sort of preserves where you just need a little bit and the flavour is not so overpowering. And so you've boiled your brine, and what you need to do is you pour it in. You fill the jar. You can see how much. I've actually probably overfilled it ever so slightly, but make sure that you cover all your tomatoes. And once you've poured the water in, you close it on hot. So make sure that the brine is piping hot, and then you can pour it in and close the lid, and then just leave it. And then they should seal. If you've worried about making sure that these lids are actually properly sealed and closed, you can put them in a water bath, cover it completely and boil it for about 10 minutes, and that will ensure that your seal is properly locked. Now, I find that can make your tomatoes taste a bit mushy, so I try to just close them on hot without cooking the actual tomatoes themselves. In terms of the extra things that you can add to the jar, you can add all sorts of things. You can add peppercorns or dill, so whatever flavor you want. So you can just have your basic brine together with extra flavors. You can add cumin, mustard seeds, whatever the sort of flavors that you like. I quite like it with a chili because I think that gives it a little bit of extra edge. Now, green tomatoes can be a little bitter. So I find that having a chili and a garlic and the apple cider vinegar kind of balances that bitterness as well. So that's how I made my cherry tomato pickles. I have another playlist called In a Pickle, so do check that out, where I have other recipes, other low sugar recipes or no sugar recipes for different types of pickles and preserves. And subscribe to my channel for more videos like this so you don't miss them in the future. For now, thank you very much for watching and take care.